ايوه.
Okay, so I read this book many years ago because I met the author, and the author is very charismatic, captivating when he talks. Very, and he's Nabil. He's a philosopher too. He's really he always get the devil advocate, but he's more into the fact that we should think positive. It's going to happen, believe me. And he wrote many books. He's writing a new book now called The Singularity is Nearer. And it will be published in 2025.
Wow.
So I'll talk a little bit about his model of the law of accelerating growth. What does he mean by the singularity is near? And then comments and challenges. And this is probably most of the discussion around that. So let's see if okay. This doesn't come to you as a surprise. Those three areas, networks, data centers, autonomous cars, are causing waves. Mobility is your phone and the car. The data that you use in sending messages or downloading a program is data centers and networks. But the advances in data centers, and I have the opportunity to visit more than 100 data centers. Some of them are hyperscale. It is a huge building. The new data centers that Meta, اللي هي فيسبوك اسمها اتغير بقى ميتا، وجوجل ومايكروسوفت وامازون. Those are the four big, I'm sorry, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Facebook. Those are the four people who are building حاجة اسمها hyperscale data centers. 10 million computers, about 4 million switches and routers. The size of the building is 4 football fields. A stadium ده, four of that. One of them is for batteries because you cannot afford data center going down. So you have 1/4 of that, 1 football field of batteries, and the rest are computers. You just have to see it. It's very impressive. And now we don't categorize data centers in terms of bits, but we can categorize in terms of how much power they consume. So the smallest of the hyperscale data center, it consumes 10 gigawatts. So they build them around rivers. A data center must be very close to a river so they can take the water and cool it down. And now they are thinking of data centers that have no buildings around it, because you want the air to go and circulate the heat. Just give you an idea of how big it is. The second thing that's also happening now is these autonomous cars. 10 years ago, we did a study at our company and we predicted, well, electric cars will be important, but not that pervasive. That was wrong. It's now just electric cars in the US. I saw them in Europe big times. In Southeast Asia, they are getting there. But we are talking about reaching more than 10 million cars, electric cars, very, very soon. And all of those require superchargers. And the thing that on the slide here, they require tremendous amount of storage, onboard storage. I'll show you why. So look at this car here. We expect that every electric car will require 4 terabytes per day of data. 4 terabytes per day. It's mostly garbage, but some of them, this information is so important to avoid collision and to communicate with other cars. So if you have a fleet of and you operate 10 hours a day, we are talking about petabytes, 350 petabytes of storage on board. And that information must be downloaded and uploaded later to the cloud and the data center. So it's tremendous. I'm just giving you the background, tremendous amount of information that I need. This graph is very accurate. We are now at about 250 exabyte of traffic growth per month. Per month. That's what humans are. And if this curve continues to look like it's by 2030, we're talking about 5,000 exabyte, which is 5 zettabytes. So we are approaching the zettabytes. And as I said last time, zeta is 10 to the 21. The next one is iota, 10 to the 24. We don't have any name for the 10 to the 27. And I urge you, if you have a good name for it, let me know, because we are trying to find a name for that. This is something called the data sphere, which is the knowledge of the world that's recorded in digitally. The Library of Congress, everything you write in your book and on your computer. And we are getting to be 175 zettabytes, mostly stored on tapes and magnetic media. Semiconductor storage is very, very small. So now, for your information, tell your children and grandchildren, we need good ideas for new materials that will store this amount, because magnetic disks are flattening at 10 terabytes, maybe 20 terabytes per disk. But we need more than that. This is a slide from Seagate. You know Seagate, one of the largest computer storage companies that make disk drives. This is the history on the left here, and the world will need more than 175, so they call it Hello Iota. So, and they're going everywhere. Please, 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 give me something, a new way of storage. Quantum computing needs tremendous amount of storage. I cannot put 7,000 disk drives around them. It has to be something different. Holograms, vortexes, what? We don't have a solution for this. So I'm just giving the hint here. If you have any technical people in your circle of friends or relatives, let us know. The iPhone 15 just was announced 2 weeks ago. Last week. 35 teraflops, floating point operations per second. Can you imagine that? It's just tremendous. It has 2 terabytes of storage. I have iPhone 14. It's about 15 teraflops and 2 terabytes. And it have 1 gigabit per second data rate. Hopefully when 6G comes in, this will move up to 1 terabit per second. But we are reaching what we call the Tera era. I actually coined this term in 2000. And we're talking about teraflops, terabytes, terabits, and terawatts of data centers. It's happening. So all those are introduction to what Ray Karzweil is talking about in his book. He said that in 1985 and 88, this is what, in that range, this is what we had. Remembering answering machines, VCRs, Walkman. Do you have any of this? I guess nobody's using any of this anymore. Memory sticks are going away. CDs are gone. Fax machines, maybe. So 2007 was a very pivotal year, very important year. It's not because just the iPhone was launched, but people forget that Twitter went global, Kindle and Androids were released, Airbnb was founded, Google bought YouTube, IBM created the Watson, and of course the software, the beginning of the software. 2007, we see it as an inflection point. And what's happening since 2007 is also very impressive. Tesla just said that more than 100 parts in the car is made by 3D printing. They have 3D printing farms to print that. Farms means it is buildings full of 3D printers. I went to UC San Diego The other day, my son went to San Diego many years ago, and I went to the library, no books. They removed all the books. It's all terminals and 3D printers. Just incredible. Robotics and mechatronics are... my wife just bought a robot to clean the car. It's not working well, but we have robots everywhere. Like at 9 o'clock when we started the presentation here, my wife turned the robots on and they are cleaning everything around the house. Those Roombas are going everywhere and just discovering dirt and everything. So that tremendous amount of progress technologically, plus the millennials. The millennials are those people who were born just before the turn of the century. When we interview them and talk to them, they have totally different ideas than us. They ask about sustainability. They ask about recycling. Some of them will say, I will only work for you 5 years and I'll move to another company. I want to jump from one place to another. It's changing the workplace. Will that be positive for technological advancement or not? It remains to be seen, but they are counting on technology. They don't want to buy cars, they will call the robot taxi. They don't want to own a house, they go Airbnb it. It's just very different class of people. This is the expectations by 2027. It shouldn't come as a surprise, but it's solar power will be very, very cheap. Electric vehicles, I think that prediction is going to be more than 20 million cars by 2027. That is tremendous because an electric car is a computer or an iPad on wheels. And now let's get to the singularity. I guess there are many graphs that describe a singularity. This one describes it if you go on the red curve and go down on the bottom left side. The next point is way up there, is undefined. Undefined point. What happens with a singularity? And that's where Ray Karzweil book comes in. That's his picture. I think when he was a bit young. This is his 250 pills that he takes every single day. And he carries it with him all the time. He came up with this. He has a model for it to treat he has 3 cancers in his body. And he believed that this thing is what keeps him going every single day. You don't have to copy that, please. I'm not responsible for that. That's it. It works for him, but I will never try that. So he said, by 2045, non-biological intelligence created in that year will be 1 billion times more powerful than all human intelligence today. That is his prediction, not Wajih Isaac's prediction. And if you put the philosophy part on it, it might be 10 or 15 years later than that. But his prediction is 2045. What does he mean by that? He said there's something called the law of accelerating growth. Technology is growing at an exponential rate. And he starts from the printing drums, and he calls actually the printing machines as the best invention. And then the language is the second best invention. But things are growing radically up at a very high pace. If you and then if you look at the evolution of computers per cost, I mean, computer mega instruction per second per dollar, you notice that it is going way up, but reaching a human capacity. Remember one thing about the brain, and you should correct me on that, it takes extremely low power to function. About what, 15 watts? Our brain takes 15 watts to do all this tremendous amount of thinking and invention and creativity and intuition. the quantum computing is taking megawatts, we want to reduce down to kilowatts. So the human brain is so efficient, very efficient, but it is slower than what we can do with quantum computing and other supercomputers. So he's counting on that somehow human intellect, the green line, has been moving up, but technological evolution is going at a faster rate. And he predicts that some way in the middle of that century, you reach a point where humans, if you want to call it, will move at the rate of technology, of physical science improvements, not at the human evolution improvements. So that is really his point, is saying that human will transcend biology, will exceed, humans will reach a point where we can develop predictions about the future and argue that humans are reaching the singularity where when human and technological intelligence will merge. Now, as I said, he's writing another book saying it's nearer. Maybe you will say 2045 is not reasonable to move to 2075. I don't know. But how can we achieve that? We can achieve that. Look at the bottom of this slide. Several ways. One possibility is that people would add a computer's processing power to their own intelligence, becoming really superhumans, or computers will grow so complex that they will be able to think, create, feel, sense, and have a conscious. So one of two ways: either the computer will have all this and will exceed our capacity, and that's what Kurzweil is really saying. But another group saying, well, humans will implant in their bodies things that will make them better than a supercomputer. Are the two that, yeah, it will really do. So I'm actually a believer of the second part, which is, yes, the hardware, no question, it will keep progressing at a very high rate. But when will we be able to download a human thinking and the human part? When we asked Kurzweil this point, he said, okay, number one, please think big, because each one of us thinks that his limit is the limit of the world. No. As Nabil said, there are 8 billion people going to 9 soon. Everyone is thinking differently. There are always smarter person out there, always. Then he said, please remember that conscious and emotions is a biological process like digestion and photosynthesis and other things. And most of the complexity of the human neurons is devoted to keeping us alive, not to do the emotion part. Look at the third bullet. It's really very important. Most of the complexity of the human neurons is devoted to maintaining the life support function, not the information processing capability. So we can easily do the life support functions, the hardware, keeping the computer or the human alive. Ultimately, we will be able to port our mental process to a more suitable computation substrate. That's his big point. And that's where you get most of the criticism. Yeah. Most of the complexity of the human neurons is devoted to keep the life support. So imagine like, most of the power is to just keep us alive every day, but then a very small amount is used for the other functions we call conscious, sensing, feeling, sad, happy. And he thinks that, yes, we'll be able to do modeling of that. The law of accelerating growth will continue to evolve, and self-replicating nanobots will soon replace doctors and replace doctor and go into our bodies. He devoted 2 chapters in the book about that. Heart problems, send the nanobots to clean the clogging. Cancer, send the nanobots with medicine to attack those cells, and only those cells, maybe a little bit around it of good cells, but mostly, no. It will help. It will go, you will direct it to do that. But what if they go haywire? What happened to nanotechnology? Nanotechnology was promising. The first guy to use nanotechnology, his name is Drexler at MIT in the 80s. What he meant is that we'll build small things from atoms and molecules. But it really didn't progress at the rate that people expected. It's still going. There aren't enough engineers and scientists who are getting into that field. And even if we do it, the third bullet is very valid. What if it's non-controllable? What if it goes into the arteries and decided to go right or left and go through, penetrate the tissues and go into them, a different, not bloodstream, but going into the kidney or the stomach. So it is still debatable here. Now, his predictions were not very correct. He predicted by 2010 that supercomputers will have major progress and be available. We are in 2025 now, and it's not really there yet. He also predicted by 2030 that human brain scanning will model human intelligence. We will be able to scan the brain in a way, it's called functional MRI, functional magnetic resonance. What's eyes? MRI, magnetic resonance, something, imaging. So he's saying that we'll be able to scan the brain and create a model of how we think. He's counting big time on that. And then 10 years later, the non-biological computer, the computer that we are building now, will exceed the capacity of living biological human, because the model that we created into 2030 will be downloaded like we do now in machine learning and artificial intelligence. Let me give you a point here that makes me feel that might happen. I work for a material companies. By the way, I just retired 2 weeks ago, and I will talk about that later. But we make materials like glass and ceramics and fiber optics by looking at the periodic table, and we have 3,000 scientists who mixes ions and create the material. It used to take us $1 billion and 10 years to come up with a new material. Now it's less 5 years, $250 million to get a material. We cannot sustain that. It will not work for the future. So what we do is we are counting now on machine learning algorithms. Now our scientists would oppose to that. I'm losing my job if you do that. Computer cannot be better than me. But they reach a point, those scientists are so anxious to learn Python to write those models, because the permutations that they are getting, put the Young's modulus, put the electrical, mechanical, optical, and thermal properties, and give me a material that doesn't scratch, a material that doesn't bend, that bends, a material that doesn't break. And we are getting there in less than $100 million and only 1 year. So there are progresses, and you can talk about other places where image recognition, weather predictions, medical achievements. So I think we might be able to scan the human brain and understand a lot about how human thinks in the next 20 years. And he predicts 2045 will be reached a point of singularity where it is just this robot next to you thinking like you, and maybe even better. So this is really the essence of his book. And he he has stories inside the book about people talking to each other in 2030 and 2040 and trying to debug the process. Oh boy, the nanobots have killed more than 100 million people because it's the same company that makes them, and they all went bad. So as a result of that, we can really create disasters and catastrophe. So those are some of the major challenges. Will we have enough engineers and scientists to do the work? I don't think so. I don't think we'll have enough people to do the work. Not many people, as I said earlier, are interested in working on hardware. They take the easy way, software. But as someone said, software will be the part of the most important part. How about the moral aspects? Will people really accept this singularity? When they hear that we are building machines, robotics, with the advances in mechatronics will be so impressive that will they resist that and stall it? Will there be groups that will stand against that, and there will be restrictions and people will talk about privacy and I'm sure there will be some resistance, if not major resistance there. And if we reach that, do you think we'll be happier? Does any of you, the 5 or 6 people attending now, is that going to make us happier, or should we try it, or are you in support of that, or no? Or I want to hear your opinion. Finally, actually, this is my last slide, is that if we reach that point, we'll be really at a crossroads. Will it create 2 camps? People who are resisting it and living and saying, well, we are in the minority, and robots who are controlling the world. Will it result, as I said, in major catastrophe that we are going to destroy the survival and destruction of humans will be a result of that if we keep advancing this way? We have to think of all of this, because we can, unless we put the restrictions and, as I said, some discipline into it, it might turn into a disaster. That's my talk, and I want actually to hear your opinions about that.
Okay. I will start.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. This is really interesting. It goes what we think it's going to. We never thought it will be to 2045.
Yeah, but Ahmed, before you continue, this is nothing compared to the recording that I heard about your talk. I'm just starting by that. It's you raised the bar so much that I almost thought of canceling this. I said, no, I cannot. Seriously, yeah.
This is the best statement I ever heard. Thank you so much. الحقيقة الكيرف اللي هو الاكسبوننشال كيرف ده it's scary but promising in the same time. I believe يعني 90% of the population of the world will not be aware what's going on, but the 10% are the one who is driving this. Either we put restriction or not, it's going. For 2 reasons, mainly because of the competition. If we didn't do it, somebody else will do it. And that's scary for competition between China and the United States. So we are going there for sure. Is it 45 or 65 or maybe earlier? The way we see the progress of artificial intelligence, it's really monthly progress. It's not yearly. Yeah. And I've seen in less than 1 year what happened in ChatGPT and BARD and so on. So I'm expecting it to be before 45. that we reach to the ultimate processing capability and hardware and software. That's my opinion. Other than this, I leave everybody else to talk.
Do you
Thank
think it's good or bad?
I think it is good in the long run. It's good. It's not bad. We will become addicted to it, and nobody knew about the iPhone we have, which replaces the computers and everything. But we adapted to it. We will adapt to the new reality, and that's part of the best capability of human being are the adaptability. We are adaptable creature, so we will adapt, bad or good, but we will adapt. Humans are adaptable creature.
Thank you for saying that. Do you think that the supercomputer that will reach that intelligence will be adaptable, like us?
They will drive us, and we will drive them to be adaptable.
Okay. I'm sure Nabil likes this last comment. Yeah.
Yeah, very much, because we will teach them to become creative and intuitive and so on. We will make them like us. What we can do is deprive them from one or two things, like having moral.
Having what?
Moral, being moral and
Moral.
ethical. I mean, an ethical code is mainly something developed if we again think of humanity as spontaneous existence. It evolved from the need for security and safety in a society. If you don't have ethics, you don't have these two, security and safety, and even happiness and economic comfort and so on. So for those machines, these things are different. To them, security is having enough supply, voltage, generators are working, my parts are available in the stores that I know, bit by bit. I can go and replace whatever goes wrong by myself. I don't need a human to do that for me, and so on. There will be a completely different ethical code for these machines. Whether they generated themselves or we generated for them, it doesn't really matter. It is going to be different anyway. That's it. That's my opinion here. The ethical dimension. Philosophy again, I'm sorry.
Well, that's good. Yeah, no, that's good. Any other comments?
الدكتور سامح نعمان.
مساء الخير يا فندم. مساء الخير.
أنا دكتور سامح.
ازي حضرتك؟
الدكتور سامح نعمان ده بتاع الطاقة المتجددة، ويعني أستاذ الأساتذة كلها يعني.
العفو يا فندم، العفو، أنا تلميذ الجميع يا فندم.
الحقيقة احنا كلنا تلامذة الدكتور وجيه يعني. اتفضل يا دكتور سامح، اتفضل.
والله حضرتك أنا داخل متأخر، بس مش عارف يعني كان إيه رأس الموضوع، لأن أنا داخل بقالي 10 دقايق بس. على فكرة أنا كان عندي ميعاد أسنان ورحت لغيته وجيت عشان ألحق المحاضرة. والله كان عندي ميعاد أسنان. لغيته عشان أجي جري وألحق المحاضرة، فدخلت تقريبا من حوالي 10 دقايق. فما أعرفش حضرتك كنت البداية كانت إيه صراحة.
احنا مسجلينها وهبعتها لك التسجيل ان شاء الله. دكتور عبد الرحمن بتاع
مش ميعادها 8 يا فندم؟ مش ميعادها 8؟
هي بس غيرنا عشان مواعيد الدكتور وجيه.
لا انا اسف.
نغير شويه. دكتور عبد الرحمن.
ايوه، لا ماليش اي كومنت الحقيقه.
طيب الحمد لله.
الحمد لله.
ايوه بس موافق. Do you think it's good or bad?
It's good. This is normal way in our life. That's what I'm expecting. Yes, we are dragged. If either we like that or not.
Yeah, but you have a good point about what will be the impact on our dear country, on Egypt.
Yes, yes.
How is that?
Yes.
Are we going to be looking at it and saying, okay, or what? Or we'll be a part of it?
As I told you, this would be a catastrophic for not only Egypt, but the Arab world. Okay, because we are going into a point in space, not in the Earth. Not on the Earth. We are going to the point in the space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, سامح دكتور سامح الموضوع كان على ان الكمبيوترز the technological advances will go so fast that by year 2050 it will exceed human intelligence, and will be able, computers will feel, sense, and have emotions that it will be a point of inflection. So we're talking, will it happen or not? If it happens, is it good or bad for humanity? So that was the essence of the talk.
We control the computer. So if the computer will be intelligent, according of our orders or design.
Yeah, we design it, you mean?
Yes.
Because we design it, so
not
yeah.
more. But he cannot do like human body.
Well, okay, you said it cannot or will not?
Cannot do anything like human body. I think that.
I agree.
But for fast solving any problem, it is okay.
Yeah.
But for thinking, no.
Okay.
For me, as a programmer only, it is a programmer.
Yeah, but yeah, many people agree, but there are advances in a way that they're doing like a computer.
Are we give the good chance for the computer to thinking like human? He can take action.
Yeah.
What is the time for reaction?
Yeah. What some people believe, large number of people really believe that yes, it is possible that the computer we will teach them how to think and how to react, and if we succeed in doing this, and they are increasing their hardware part, that's where they will take off.
So it is depend on the what built inside its memory. Like for like that, if you wanted to attack some tank or aircraft, you should have the picture in his memory like that. If it is image not good, he cannot take a decision. But human body can do it.
Yeah. Okay, that's a point of view. Yes.
How much time do you have, Dr. Wajih?
Whatever you want.
بص احنا قدامنا عشان الساعة بتاعته تنتهي، فقدامنا لسه تلت ساعة.
Yeah.
So we have some good time with him يعني.
Okay, I have a point regarding the energy consumption.
Yes.
Of such machines.
Yes.
Compared to the energy consumption of our brains. 15 watts versus now, I don't know, maybe it is going to be terawatts eventually to generate some thought that exceeds human ability to think. I think the way we are thinking of AI machines and AI technology in general is limited by using material, solid material. I mean, the semiconductors, and even later they may have better transistors and so on. But the genius in the human organism is that it is all biological, and it has this ability to optimize use of energy. You can live 3 days without eating, or 3 days without drinking water, and 15 days without eating. The machine will never be able to do that without a battery. Now, if the battery goes wrong, it won't be able to even repair itself and go find replacing parts. It will need a community of these robotics to help each other in one way or another. They will have to have their own society of intelligent machines. That again, back to the ethical code, they will need to decide whether they kill that machine because it has a cancer. I mean, it lost a lot of its material parts, or it has to continue. So I believe with these limitations in those machines, the singularity may not happen unless we actually go further and make them biological completely. So they have biological cells, the same efficiency, but it has to be biological because obviously God did not create this human cell out of a biological content, carbon content mainly, in vain. Yani he could have made us of semiconductors. If this is better, he didn't. He selected the best to supersede. And I think this is the only area where if humans started to have biotransistors, they did actually in some universities. I think my son told me about some research on biological, rather than TTL and MOSFETs, they will work with biotransistors. But again, this, as you said, needs resources, mainly human resources, to work on, and we don't have that. So I tend to believe it's difficult to predict the singularity date. And I would rather even think it is difficult to happen at all. Singularity will not happen. We will always be in control. Remember that we created that monster. And we know we will develop even abilities to conquer it. Dr. Ahmed Ataya spoke about something very important, competition. Human beings are competitive in nature.
Yeah.
I don't think machines would be competitive.
Or if they become, if we make them competitive, they might fight with each other and killing themselves, each other, is much different than humans. Humans will think before they kill someone, but those might not.
You see, back to the ethical code, our ethical code allows us to stop killing each other at certain moment.
Yeah.
But we didn't use the atomic bomb more than once.
Yeah. You see, there is something in Silicon Valley, a group in Silicon Valley that's saying exactly the same thing. Number one, human brains are extremely efficient, very, very low power consumption. And as you said, their battery lasts for reasonable amount of time. Will we be able to make those machines efficient? And if not, do we have enough energy resources in the world to do that? Number two is, what if the singularity really happens and those guys became so powerful? How are they going to deal with each other and with us? How are they going? What are the rules of engagement between each other? They might get into a destructive path.
I agree. If we allow them, they will be destructive to themselves and to us. And this is where we are more powerful. I wanted to philosophize one point, that if you have an ethical code, you are more powerful than any other structure, be it organic or non-organic. Because the ethical code is a layer above that takes control eventually. And we do have it.
Assuming that humans will keep being ethical in the future. I'm worried that we are.
You are completely right.
I find that one.
Yes.
It's hard to predict.
دكتور وجيه، دكتور وجيه، I have a
أنا يا
question.
دكتور عبد الرحمن دقيقة واحدة.
أي.
الدكتور أحمد عطية هيرفع إيده عاوز يسأل سؤال.
هو في كومنت وسؤال، تو كومنتس. وان السؤال بتاع الدكتور وجيه، ايه اللي ممكن الكلام ده اثره على مصر والدول اللي هي في مستوى مصر؟ والجواب على الموضوع ده، احنا زي ما حصل في الماضي، ان اي تقدم في التكنولوجي بيتبعه سايد برودكتس. لان التكنولوجي ما بتجيش يوم وليله، يعني انكريمنتال امبروفمنت. وان انكريمنتال امبروفمنت الناس اللي هم بتوع البرودكتس بيجروا عشان يطلعوا منه برودكت نستخدمه النهارده. We will be as usual consumer of products. احنا ما اخترعناش الايفون، ما اخترعناش الكلام ده، لكن ما فيش بيت في مصر ما فيهوش سيل فون. فده we will be using the technology. That's normal. الحاجة الثانية، احنا بنقول singularity، يعني يا الماشين توصل الأول يا الإنسان هو اللي هيبقى الأول. في حاجة ثالثة ممكن تحصل اللي هي الهايبرد مود. هايبرد مود معناه إيه؟ إن أنا ممكن أستخدم الإنسان and implant something inside. So I'm using both the technology and human to reach the super capability. Embedded mode, and that's they starting to do it, as you mentioned in the beginning, that they plant some stuff into our body to clean the body inside, and that's really what's more expected more than the technology by itself, to embed something inside our body, wire to the brain, so we use the capacity of the brain while we still have the capacity of storage outside and some ultra processing outside. That's my
that's one of the two models. You are absolutely right. But I hope we'll not just be consumers.
انا مختلف معاك يا احمد يا عطيه شويه في الحته دي. احنا قادرين دلوقتي ان احنا نبقى كونسيومرز، يعني احنا قادرين. انا شخصيا عن نفسي، انا بتكلم عن نفسي، انا قادر استخدم الموبايل دلوقتي از از وبستخدمه زي الفل. لو زودوا لي في الموبايل شويه لعب، ما اعرفش هم فين واروح فين واتوه منين، ادوس على حاجه ما اعرفش انا فين اصلا، ولا افهم ايه ده ولا اعرف ايه ده. خدت بالك؟ هو ده اللي هيحصل، ان انت جنبك حضرتك النهارده هتبقى ماشي في الشارع وجنبك حد، الحد ده روبوت وانت مش واخد بالك ان هو انت فاكره انسان، هو روبوت ماشي. هتتعامل معاه ازاي؟ فبالتالي هنا العمليه هتوصل ان احنا هنبقى اصلا لو حبينا نبقى يوزرز مستحيل هنبقى يوزرز، مستحيل هنبقى يوزرز اصلا. خدت بالك؟ مش هنعرف نعملها هنبقى. وبالتالي هنا انا عشان كده دايما حضراتكم تفتكروا ان انا مش متفائل، لا بالعكس، انا I am worried. I am really worried because انا اصلا كل حياتي قضيتها في الديفلوبمنت. كل حياتي عمري كله كنت كتبت بجميع اللغات اللي في العالم، من scientific languages لكوميرشال لداتابيزز. ما فيش لغه في العالم ما كتبتش بيها، تمام، بنفسي. وعملت سيستمز طول حياتي في ال 50 سنه اللي عشتها في الفيلد ده ماشي. فعارف الديفلوبمنت وعارف من جوه المكنه فيها ايه والدنيا بتحصل فيها ايه. لما اقول لك كيوبيت، انا عارف ان كل ستيت للكيوبيت لها ميموري، يعني الكوانتم كمبيوتر في زي ما هو في 53 كيوبيت، تمام، هو في كل كيوبيت له ان ميموري خاص بيه. لان البروجرام العادي حضرتك لو انت جيت للمكنه العاديه مش الكيوبيت، ايه اللي بيحصل لما تيجي بتنفذ انستراكشن؟ بيحصل فيتش ديكود اكسكيوت يا احمد عطيه، صح؟ فيتش ديكود اكسكيوت. بخش على البروسيسور، بيخش على الميموري، يعمل فيتش، يجيب الانستراكشن، يجيب الامر، ياخده عنده، يعمل له ديكود، يشوف ايه الامر ده وينفذه. مش كده؟ طيب اذا كان عندك بقى انت الكيوبيت، لا مش 3، ده الكيوبيت الواحد في ان ستيت، في ان بيت، ان بيت. يعني لما بتفتش
دي شغله الاوبريتنج سيستم يا عبد الرحمن.
لا شغله برمجه زي بالظبط. اشبه لك بايه يا احمد؟ اشبه لك بايه؟ لما طلع الكورس في جوه في البروسيسور، يقول لك البروسيسور ده 8 كور 16 كور 32 كور ماشي. بقينا محتاجين لنوعيه من البرمجه ان انا برمج لكل كوره على حده، كل كوره اديله التاسك بتاعه يشتغلوا عشان يشتغلوا مع بعض امبارل، زي ما السوبر كمبيوترز كلها تشتغل امبارل لازم البرمجه تبقى باراليل. البرمجه كل واحد بياخد تاسك يعمله على التوازي مع اخوه، واخد بالك ازاي؟ فالعمليه سو كومبليكيتد، وبالتالي انا شايف كده ان العالم واخدنا الاتجاه ان احنا بعد كده ايفن سو لا هنبقى غير قادرين. دكتور وجيه، عندي سؤال بس، عندي one question please. What is the impact of what you have already told us about the military field, about the war? أنا شايف إن الأثر الأكبر the big effect will be in the war, not in the normal civilian life.
صحيح.
And many people are talking. هو Ray Karzweil نفسه when he gives the lectures, you can tell that he's getting a lot of funding from the Army research, the Naval research, in a way that those scientists will be biased by that for, when we have a war, hypersonic missiles and those robots will be send them everywhere, and or we are going to cyber attack everybody to the point where we paralyze them. I think it will have major impact on people fight in the future.
Yes, I think this is the biggest domain for this thinking. ده المجال الأكبر لتطبيق هذا التفكير.
يعني احنا عندنا 10 فرق و2000 دبابة و1000 طيارة و500 مدفع، كل ده okay, so what? I'll send 2 robots to take care of this.
بس أنا عاوز أعلق حاجة عليك يا دكتور عبد الرحمن.
نعم اتفضل يا فندم.
ليها علاقة باللي قاله الدكتور وجيه. الدكتور وجيه بيقول لك إن تشات جي بي تي أو الارتفيشال انتليجنس بيقدر يعمل بروجرامينج ل20,000 لاين في أقل من ساعة أو أقل من دقيقة أو أقل من أي حاجة. فتخيل إن في كوانتم كمبيوتر بقى هيعمل الكلام اللي أنت بتفكر فيه ده، يعني at no time. يعني عملية البروجرامينج وعملية الناس اللي هي بتشتغل وبتقضي وقت في البروجرامينج والكلام ده كله.
طبعا يا فندم، طبعا كلام سيادتك صح 100%، كلام سيادتك صح 100%. بس الكلام ده مش لنا، انا بتكلم على ان الكلام ده مش لنا كمصريين او كعرب، مش لنا.
ما هو ده اللي ان احنا هنعمل ايه في الوقت ده هيحصل.
هنعمل ايه في الكلام ده؟ احنا هنعمل في الكلام ده ايه؟ ده طلع تولز، ديفلوبمنت تولز مخصوص للكوانتم كمبيوترز. التولز دي عشان حد عندنا مصري ولا عربي يفهمها يا حضرتك، يعني معلش هي دي النقطة. لكن هم هيعملوا اللي هيعملوا ما شاء الله، هيعملوا نفس اللي بيحصل، يعني هم ما شاء الله عليهم. يعني
أنا عندي كومنت على دي إن I think that the new generations of scholars and scientists in Egypt, and I met many of them when I came and I go to Egypt once or twice a year. They are very smart and actually more savvy than us, and I don't think they will let a chance like that go by. I have a feeling that they are so, you can't.
I hope so. We hope so.
That's my hope, of course, because if it happens, it's really bad, because those are the people who are counting on. Enough that Egypt has now so many engineering schools that some of those people who are coming out will catch on something and they will be participant in the future. That's really my hope.
I think you will. We will be there. We will be behind, but we will not be at the bottom. As is the case now. Yeah, we have people that have reached the top in technology and in medicine, in geology, in the States itself.
حضرتك كليات الهندسة نزلت 4 سنين.
ايوه صح.
بدل 5
سنين. لا
كليات الهندسة نزلت 4 سنين
بدل 5.
ايوه يعني حضرتك هتلغي 20% من التعليم الهندسي لبكالوريوس الهندسة.
بالظبط.
2 الطالب اللي داخل دلوقتي بيدخل ب 58% ثانوية عامة، و58% بيقعد قبلها 3 سنين ياخد بيها دروس. والدروس اللي بيدخلها في الرياضه في الماس او الفيزيكس هي عباره عن ايكويشنز بيحفظها وفيل ان، يعني في دماغه مفيش اي ثينكينج. فيل ان بيدخل لو المساله جايه بالشكل ده يبقى الارقام دي تتحط هنا عشان تطلع النتيجه، ليس اكثر. بالاضافه ان الكالكوليتور اللي معاه بيحل له اذا كان هيشتغل بقى ماتريكس، اذا كان هيشتغل بايا كان، بيحط الداتا على الكالكوليتور ياخد الاول، ما بيفكرش، ما بيعرفش اذا كان في خطوات صح ولا غلط. ده ابسط الامور للمهندس اللي طالع. بس فحضرتك لك التعليق.
انما الاجيال الجديده اللي زيك يا دكتور سامح واللي زيك يا دكتور عبد الرحمن، الاجيال الجديده اللي طالعه ان شاء الله
يا فندم يا فندم انا مش
هيبقوا كويسين جدا جدا جدا، وعندنا امل في الله وامل في مصر جامد قوي ان شاء الله يعني.
ان شاء الله فندم. احنا لازم نكون الواقع يا فندم، الواقع هو اللي بيفرض نفسه. اصل حضرتك مش واحد هيقدر يغير الا اذا هو مهما كان بمبادئه فهو في انفايرمنت سيء. وبعدين لما بتيجي التعليمات من فوق ان كليه هندسه تبقى 4 سنين، مين قال تبقى 4 سنين وليه وازاي هتطلع بنفس الكواليتي اللي كانت قبل كده؟
يا دكتور سامح والله انا معترض معاك، لان في برضه عيال طالعه في منتهى الذكاء واحسن مننا 100 مره، وحياه ربنا موجودين.
قليل في فرق بين
مش قليل بالدرجه دي، لا والله لا والله.
البيز يا دكتور سلام،
في العيال دول طالعه من بيئه بقى احنا ما اشتغلناش على الموبايل واحنا عندنا 5 سنين. لا العيال دي طالعه برضه. لا في والله هتلاقي
انا ما بتكلم، انا ما قلتش يا فندم، انا ما بعترضش على دي، لكن انا بقول العدد، الكميه اللي طالعه. لما تحط 1000 احنا كم مهندس بيدخل كليه هندسه على والمعاهد كل سنه، وكم واحد بيطلع بالطريقه اللي حضرتك بتقول عليها؟
يا جماعه بطلوا المناقشه في الموضوع ده لو سمحتوا، خلونا نعود تاني لاصل المحاضره اللي بيتكلم. احنا ما بنتكلمش على الموضوع يعني، خلينا ان شاء الله كويس. في حد يرفع ايده؟ اتفضل.
لا انا اسف انا بتاسف ان انا فتحت الموضوع ده.
لا
معلش يا دكتور سلامه، انت تفتح اي موضوع على كيفك يعني، بس عاوزين نبقى منطقيين شويه. في ريجونال اي تي انستيتيوت.
مين
ده معتصم، دكتور معتصم.
دكتور معتصم
اللي كان موجود اللي
دكتور معتصم أبداع
موجود ويرفع ايده. اتفضل.
ايوه دكتور معتصم أبداع.
اعمل انميوت بس.
لو اذنتوا لي عملت انميوت. ايوه
اتفضل.
تمام.
اتفضل.
اولا انا بحب اشكر الدكتور وجيه على المحاضره، لان فعلا ادانا انسايت مهم جدا نحب نعرفه. وعايز زي ما حضرتك قلت نبعد شويه عن حته النظره التشاؤم، هسميها مجازا تشاؤميه، او الوضع اللي الدكتور وجيه قال ان هو بيقابل بعض الكفاءات اللي تدينا شويه امل. وبعدين دكتور نبيل قال ان احنا we will be in maybe not on top بس at certain level of knowledge and interference and action. فدي مهمه. انا شايف المحور كله وزي ما اتقال في المحاضره هو في خطين، خط الاثيكال والايموشنال، وده لازم نفكر فيه كويس. هل الروبوتس او whatever ميكانايزد هتوصل للمستوى اللي يتخطى ولا لا؟ الشق الثاني العلاقه ما بين الهيومن بينج والروبوتس اللي هتطلع دي، لازم يبقى في نوع من العلاقه. ما هياش علاقه زي ما اتقال دلوقتي ان احنا اللي مصممينهم فاحنا هنبقى عندنا كنترول. لا، اللي فيكم يفتكر فيلم، كان في فيلم قديم قوي اوديسي 2000 اللي هي الروبوتس برضه عملت ميوتني وصارت على البني ادمين اللي عاملينها وكده. ف this is not science fiction, it could happen. فاللي لقينا دلوقتي واحد الناحيه السوفت اللي هي الاثيكال والايموشنال، والناحيه الثانيه الريليشن شيب ما بين المان ماشين، لو قدرت اسميها ماشين افترض. انما الايفوليوشن هتحصل، في سنجولاريتي هتحصل، في بروجرس هيحصل. we have to catch up with it. انما في نفس الوقت لازم نبتدي نتفهم، والنقط المثاره مهمه جدا طبعا. Thank you very much ونشكر البروفيسور وجيه على المداخله بتاعته.
Thank you very much for your discussion. It is amazing.
أنا شايف في ناس دخلت، معلش دخلت متأخرة. الدكتور علي المغازي.
أيوة أنا شايف على يمين.
أهلا أنا معلش آسف إن أنا وصلت متأخر.
معلش.
بس أنا بحب أسمع الدكتور وجيه الحقيقة.
شكرا. ما هي متسجلة عارف ايه اللي بيديني امل؟ يعني الدكتور سامح بصراحة، يعني معلش يا دكتور جابري، حاول ان المناقشة اللي حصلت دي، ما احنا برودكتس من الكليات دي. صحيح في ناس بتقول المستوى نزل، انما العدد كبر، ولما العدد يكبر والمستوى ينزل، لسه في انا بس كل خوفي انهم يعملوا زي ناس كتير مننا، انهم يهاجروا. يا ريت هو قوانين الهجرة لو تتغير وتتقفل، ده هيكون لصالح مصر.
هو حاجة تانية بس أنا مش هتكلم فيها.
احنا بس بعد اذنكم انا هقفل التسجيل كفايه كده، لان احنا سجلنا الموضوعات الاساسيه، انما فاتح الموضوع للمناقشه العامه، اللي عاوزين يهاجموا واللي عاوزين ما يهاجموش، والكلام ده كله على كيفهم يعني.
المحاضرة قيمة جدا بصراحة.